Today, I'm thrilled to welcome a true pioneer in India's cybersecurity space.
So we are entering in this, I'll say, cat and mouse game where both sides are going to leverage the same technology. The threat landscape has massively changed in past 10 years. Nation states performing cyber attacks, it's a whole different ball game.
What's the one cyber threat you still, that worries you?
Deep fakes and AI-driven social engineering. Imagine a CEO getting a voice call that sounds like his CFO and asking to doing transfer or doing certain payment. It becomes like very difficult for them to verify, and businesses need faster transaction, faster action, and people do fall to such victims, and we are seeing this day in, day out. We were kind of inventing a process for how to take a local brand to large audiences and compete against the MNCs.
What would be the advice that you would like to give it to the young founders who are trying to make their mark?
Focus on solving a real problem. Start small, but start now. Don't wait for kind of like a perfect moment. Every big idea starts as a small idea. Start small, stay ethical, and just keep at it. 90% of them are starting with the simple innocent link. We need to ensure transparency, regular audits, and always keep a human in the loop.
What does it really take for India to become a global cybersecurity hub?
We need more innovations from Indian cybersecurity startups. We just have to nurture it in the right way, I'll say.
Please join me in welcoming the true visionary and the builder who saw the future before the rest of us were even ready for it. Welcome Mr. Katkar to the show. Hello everyone, this is Kavita Kiran, co-founder of Identity First. Welcome to our new episode of Cyber Nights. Today I'm thrilled to welcome a true pioneer in India's cybersecurity space, a technologist, an innovator, and an entrepreneur whose journey did not start in a boardroom but in the college lab. Sanjay Katkar, the joint managing director and co-founder of Quick Heal Technologies, a company that grew from a DOS-based program into one of the most trusted names in cybersecurity in India, from battling computer viruses in the 90s to leading threat intelligence in the age of AI. Sanjay has been at the forefront of every major shift in the industry. He has not only built cutting-edge products, but also helped in shaping India's confidence in building homegrown cybersecurity solutions at a global scale. Please join me in welcoming the true visionary and the builder who saw the future before the rest of us were even ready for it. Welcome Mr. Katkar to the show. Thank you so much, Mr. Katkar, for being a part of a Cyber Night show. It is indeed a pleasure and an honor to have you. And there's several founders and several people who are inspired to know your story, though it is already there. But your story is amazing, and in fact, you're one of the pioneers in the homegrown India cybersecurity space. So we are just so honored to have you today on our show. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of our show. So to begin with, your entrepreneurial journey is truly inspiring. And if you were starting today, what would be the advice that you would like to give it to the young founders who are trying to make their mark?
First of all, I'll say thank you. Thank you so much, Kavita, for having me on the show. And to answer your first question, yes, if I was starting today, or for that matter, any young founder starting their journey now, I tell that everybody that focus on solving a real problem. So at Quick Heal, we began by solving virus problems for PCs in 90s, and means almost late 80s, 90s, one virus at a time. But gradually we were able to scale it up to the level where we are today now. So it's important that you find a real problem you care about and start small, but start now. It's a good time, an exciting time to start anything new in India. Don't wait for kind of like a perfect moment. Every big idea starts as a small idea, and as we build upon that, as we build trust, as we go and as we perform consistently, definitely things will work. So I'll again say, start small, stay ethical, and just keep at it. Yeah.
Great. That kind of perspective is really incredible and invaluable, especially for the young founders who are still finding clarity in this noisy and competitive space. Now, coming to my next question, Quick Heal has succeeded in a space filled with global giants. So, if looking back, what were the critical decisions that helped you to break through and build something which is truly lasting?
Yeah, Kavita, it's so right. So it wasn't easy in those days. Like back in the late 90s, the Indian antivirus market was really crowded, like, and competitive. And most of these were MNC players like Norton, McAfee, Dr. Solomon. All they were like leading in the market. There were very few local brands, especially in the regional pockets. But we at Quickhill tried a lot of different approaches. We had a product, things like appointing national distributor, or we tried to approach for hardware vendors to bundle, but nothing really clicked with us actually. So we didn't have a big, I'll say, marketing budgets or deep pockets. So we did something that really helped us as we learned through our failure. So what we really did was we were a regional player in Pune, and the things that worked for us in Pune market, we gradually copied it into the other cities. So what worked for us in Pune market was like we learned that MNC products were strong on performance, but they were like not having very good offerings with respect to price performance. So we focused on offering more value with a better price to performance ratio. Like we created different product versions at different price points and that for different price segments, and with the right combination of features at the cost that we were offering. And the other very important aspect that we did was we made sure that Quick Heal was available in every major hardware shop across Pune. So during those days, we used to have like software distributors separate and hardware vendors separate. But then, since we were not successful in software distribution network, what we did was we created our own software distribution, I means product distribution network by approaching these hardware vendors. So we worked hard to build this relations with these vendors and train them to sell the software products, which was new for them. And that also added with that, we made sure that they have a right profitability. So we knew that for our partners to succeed, they need to make good margins. So we focused on keeping our commitments and ensuring that the channel partners also have a well rewarded ecosystem, and they also feel win-win in this whole ecosystem. And also along with that, we added and made sure that we have a very best of the support for the product. So big differentiator for us at that time, post sales support. So we really focused on offering the best customer service, and that became one of the USPs for the product. And all these learnings really made us, like, I'll say, a market leader in city like Pune. And we soon realized that these are the key points that it helped. So what we did was we opened up a new branch office in a smaller city like Nasik after that. And this was around 2003. And we just replicated what we did in Pune, and it really helped us break even in Nasik in just few months time actually. And we were market leader in that city in just 4 to 5 months. And we thought this is working for us. So we kept on expanding our by opening new offices every 4 to 6 months in different cities. And in few years time, we had built a network of around 25,000 retail partners across India, aligned with our vision, with the same 3 4 key points that I talked about. And it what we didn't realize that at that time we were kind of inventing a process for how to take a local brand to large audiences and compete against the MNC. So that is how gradually, step by step, we were able to do that in those few years. And within by 2009, we were the market leader, having the largest market share in the antivirus industry for consumer products. Actually.
It's really interesting. So I'll just deviate a bit. So, I'm sure in 90s, Pune or Nasik mustn't be the tech hub, so to speak, today as we see. So, what led you to, if I may ask, you started with Pune, I'm sure there was still technology, but was Nasik also in the same space? Or, like today we have Bangalore and, the cities were different, definitely technology. And so,
Yeah. So
yeah.
So the main reason why we selected these cities was like we saw that MNCs had lesser focus on these cities. So the competition aggressiveness was less, and it was also seen observed by us that these cities also had a very big need for antivirus, and the virus problem was everywhere because the internet was growing like anything. Broadband was already out there available. So what we did was we captured those cities first where there was a lesser competition. I mean to say, the approach or the focus by MNCs were lesser. And gradually, once we established these cities, we were also established ourselves as a brand, Quick Heal, and then we approached to the larger cities and the metropolitans actually. Yeah.
Very interesting and a very different approach, and that really worked definitely, actually. Yeah.
Yes.
And it gave you a time to kind of set up and then come up in the larger cities. Interesting. Now coming to another question is AI is is transforming the cyber defense space. We all kind of know about it, but it's not a foolproof. It's still not foolproof, right? So what do you see as its biggest limitations? And how do we keep it, keep it, from becoming a threat in itself?
You're absolutely right. So AI is definitely a powerful tool in cybersecurity, especially in cyber defense. It helps us detect threats faster or spot patterns human might miss and responds in real time. Like any other tool, this is also not a foolproof thing. I'll say one big limitation is that AI is only as good as the data it's trained on. I'll say so. For what we have observed is if the data is biased or say incomplete, the results can be unreliable. Also, now what we have seen is since these AI tools are easily available now, the attackers are also having hands on these AI tools. So we are entering in this, I'll say, cat and mouse game where both sides are going to leverage the same technology. And another risk is over dependence. So if we start blindly trusting AI without human oversight, it could make wrong decisions. So like flagging safe activity as malicious, or even for that matter missing a real threat. And then there's the concern of attackers attacking this AI algorithm itself, where hackers intentionally trick AI systems by say feeding them with a manipulated inputs. So to keep AI from becoming a threat itself, so we need to ensure transparency, regular audits, and always keep a human in the loop approach. That's for now at this stage, I'll say. And AI should assist, not replace human judgment, is what I'll add actually.
So, so that there's this common thread which is there, as you rightly put it up, that the kind of feed or the kind of data fill AI is as strong as what we fill it with or kind of feed it with. So today the common thread is like it is becoming a threat in itself, like a common concern I may say is, and lots of jobs as well going because of it. And in cyberspace definitely there's a lot happening. So what do you think? As you rightly said that we have to kind of countermeasure and work on it. What else do you think we should do beyond in order to make it, leverage AI in the right way and kind of keep it controlled when it comes to concerns?
So what I'll say is, see, if you observe the development in AI in the last couple of years, there are now a lot of AI tools coming which are specialized, focused on certain domain. So here, these changes are really interesting, and I'll say if we have to. Means one thing is for sure that we cannot avoid AI. We'll have to live with that. But then we should be using the right tools for the approach that we are taking. I mean to say, if we are solving certain creative related challenges, we should focus on using AI that are focused only on those areas, so that those AI are well trained with the data that is needed to give you the right output. So make sure you are up to date with respect to what types of tools are available, and instead of just generically using tools like ChatGPT for everything is not going to help. So it's not that reliable, I'll say, with respect to the depth that needs to be that's needed at the location. So for all the engineers, I'll say, if they are into coding or if they are into research, there are different AIs available, and they should be using the right tools for their job. And one thing is for sure, we cannot avoid AI, so we have to learn to use AI to make our research or our output more varied, it's more reliable and more faster. And if we don't use AI, we'll be left behind, and people who are using AI better will be replacing us. That's what I'll add actually. Yeah.
So AI should be now part of the education system as well. kind of, right?
Of
It
course,
should
yeah.
be, yeah, the orientation should start. Okay, now coming to my next question, sir, is like how has the threat landscape changed in the last 10 years, and
Mhm.
what's coming next? And we are what we are not even prepared.
So the threat landscape has massively changed in past 10 years. I'll say earlier it was mostly about viruses, worms, or basic phishing emails. Now it's a whole different ball game. Like ransomware as a service is out there. Nation states are performing cyber attacks. Supply chains are getting breached. 0 days are getting exploited. So the attacks have become more targeted, more organized, and far more sophisticated. So if you compare earlier, the threats used to be like more louder. They used to do some activity which used to like create a news all over. But nowadays, threats are doing silently, more sophisticated, more perfect, and they try to avoid, I'll say, detection, try to avoid attention, and do their job silently. So the biggest shift has been how cybercrime has turned into a full blown underground industry. So attackers are now using automation, and as I said, AI even is being used by these attackers, at least for now, perfecting their phishing mails, or trying to create a deepfake videos, or trying to create a deepfake audio. And they're not just going after individuals, businesses, critical infrastructure, healthcare, even governments are target now. So as for what's coming next, so we are heading into an era where threats will be powered by AI at scale, deepfakes, automated social engineering attacks. So I'll say it's kind of going to be a war where AI agents will be fighting AI agents. So we as a cybersecurity vendors, we keep on developing different algorithms in AI to defend from these attacks. But uh, till now, ML, AI, all these things tools were more prominently used by cyber security vendors. But with the easy availability of AI tools globally now, it's getting in wrong hands. Now the cyber criminals as well as state sponsored attackers will be using AI to perfect their attacks. And so the future is going to be like demand not just stronger tools, but also smarter and more adaptive defenses, and much more aware user base, I'll say.
India's digital journey is incredible, but do you think we are we are keeping pace when it comes to cybersecurity's talent and innovation? And what more do we need to do there?
Yes, perfect. So India's digital journey has been truly amazing. We have seen UPI, Aadhaar, Digital India initiative. It's like transformed how we live and work. But when it comes to cybersecurity talent and innovation, I'd say we are moving, but we are still at a very slow space. We have to catch up a lot of ground yet, actually. So we have the potential, like so many young smart minds in the country. We see so many engineers getting passed out every year, but every all the focus is on the IT side, I'll say. But we need to focus more on the deep skills, or not just certifications, like more hands-on trainings, labs, or maybe internships and mentorship programs for cybersecurity. And also we need to encourage things like ethical hacking and secure coding, deeper research into cybersecurity at the college institutes level. And on the innovation front, I'll say we are still relying too much on the global tools. We need to build our own IP. I'm talking all about cybersecurity. So
Right.
what I have observed is, in terms of things for cybersecurity, products that are made in India and trusted globally are very few. And so startups need more support and more collaboration between maybe academia and industry and government. If that happens, maybe there's a more better ecosystem for focusing on cybersecurity by startups. So personally, I've been mentoring a young cybersecurity enthusiast for years now, and it's always inspiring to see there's a passion out there. But with the right environment and opportunities, I believe we can scale that passion into a world class, I'll say, innovation center. More prominently, we as an industry as well as government should support regional cybersecurity products and services that will really encourage them to do more research. So yes, we are progressing, but if we really want to lead in cybersecurity, we need to be more intentional and aggressive about building talent and fostering innovation here. Right?
More of a PPP model would work actually, and it will help.
That's yeah, yeah, and there needs to be a lot of focus on cybersecurity in different levels of education. I'll say even in schools and graduation level, and then masters and PhD level. So there should be a cybersecurity as a vertical itself, because there's a lot of scope. It has evolved into a bigger vertical altogether, and it cannot be just an IT subject in one of the semester. It can be a focused faculty itself, actually. Yeah.
Coming to the next, just out of curiosity, I wanted to understand, since you have been mentoring lots of companies and founders and the young passionate cybersecurity people. So, what do you think, sir? Is it like there is a? It's still cybersecurity considered as a what happens in India or anywhere? It's like you have to glamorize the job. You have to say you're in a hot job career option. So has cybersecurity still been in that space now? Like people feel like, oh wow, I'm going to be a cybersecurity expert and going to combat with the hackers, and also that hot careers with the high paying skills. That kind of attracts youngsters, and they look forward to joining such careers. So has cybersecurity still considered in that space when we look at the youngsters, or still long
Yeah,
way to
so
go?
in the last few years, what I've observed is most of the youths that are doing computer science are now focusing towards ethical hacking. Hacking has become more like a cool thing in these young minds, and more focus is towards using tools and hacking into networks to just like doing ethical hacking, like doing penetration testing.
Right.
And I can see that that's important, and it's as one of the vertical in cybersecurity. But that is the only thing that is getting glamorized.
Right.
But in cybersecurity, there's a lot to do be done. I'll say deeper research into newer threats, how threat intel can be utilized, how AI models can be developed to
Mhm.
detect proactively. All these things are, I'll say, the research is not yet happening in that front, and that really needs deeper understanding about operating systems and networking and all these. I'll say machine level understanding, which is right now missing.
So when you compare it with the Western countries, so which nation do you think, or the country do you think that, cybersecurity, it has reached or not reached as such, but they're doing really well in terms when we compare to India, in terms of the
Most of these
GDP?
developed countries, if you see their preparedness for the cybersecurity, the best practices that they follow, the amount of investment that goes into cybersecurity,
Right.
countries like US, countries like UK, even Japan, Australia, they are quite ahead with respect to, I'll say, investment into cybersecurity. And
Right.
of course, investment relates into the preparedness of that country. And even smaller nations are now investing into offensive technologies. In that front, I'll say nations like Iran or even North Korea, they are quite aggressive with respect to using threats to target their states, other states that they are focusing on. And in certain areas, I'll say, especially North Korea, they are using their cyber hacking skills to even for monetary gains, like they are raiding the crypto exchanges, looting those crypto exchanges and using that funds for their whatever plan they have actually.
So, though it's a little ironical, though we have in the tech talent is so high in India, but still, as you mentioned, and as we know that we thought like India also stands a chance where like cybersecurity can evolve and it can keep pace with the rest of the countries. There's a long way to go there.
Yeah, yeah. So, and one figure you will get some idea. One is like, if you see global cybersecurity market, India still contributes less than 5% of that actually.
Okay.
With respect to whatever market, whatever transactions are happening in cybersecurity, whatever happens in India is less than 5%.
And that's quite alarming, right? Like
Yes.
in terms of that.
We are still struggling with compliances, and cybersecurity is taken as an IT requirement more than a risk. They don't look at cyber threats as a risk, And you very well know that cyber threats are a risk to business. And if you start looking towards threats as risk, then you will be preparing much better. You will be investing smartly. You will be investing into the right tools, and that change is yet to happen here. Actually.
Why is it so big? I'm sorry, I'm deviating and just asking a question.
Mhm.
But why is there so much of, even now, the resistance with so many threats happening and so many breaches happening, not only all across globe, but even in India, we hear that there's,
Yeah, means we see a lot of news of what breaches we see and all that, but there's a lot different approach when the businesses look at it. They feel that they are not going to get affected. They feel that this will not happen with me. What is it at stake? Why the cyber attacker will attack me? They don't really understand that it's not just a virus or a threat problem, but it's a risk to the business itself. And with we are catching up with respect to like laws coming up like DPDP now getting implemented. All these will create awareness and alertness, and maybe if we go seriously implementing them, then the investment becomes more, the compliance is coming, and then automatically focus will be on protecting the users data. So that change is happening, but slower, I'll say.
I don't know things. Okay,
Yes.
that's interesting. So you have built tools, sir, that protect millions. Now, but what's the one cyber threat you still, that worries you? The one that you may not be where people are still not talking enough about. And it can be global as well as in, if you can give me for India context as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a question I think about a lot. One more cyber threat that really worries me, and I feel we don't talk about it enough, is like a deep fakes and AI-driven social engineering. Means AI is really caught up with respect to the bad guys a lot. We have always focused on malware, ransomware, phishing, and those are still serious. But now with AI tools getting so advanced, attackers can generate fake videos or messages that look incredibly real. Like it's you'll be not be able to distinguish whether this is a genuine call or a genuine video or a fake video. It's not just that easy actually, because of our everything, all our data that is available on internet, and it's about manipulating the trust, I'll say. And so if you imagine a CEO getting a voice call that sounds like his CFO and asking to doing transfer or doing certain payment, and it becomes like very difficult for them to verify, and businesses need faster transaction, faster action, and people do fall to such victims, and we are seeing these cases day in day out. And the scary part is the technology being like these threats is evolving faster, that public awareness or defenses are not growing that faster. So I think we need to be much more proactive. Raising like awareness levels need to be really raised to the level, the at the pace at which these threats are using the latest technology. And if you see at the global stage, I'll say one more thing I would like to add here is the serious threat which is not getting much attention, and is like most of the security vendors are worrying about, is attacks on the critical infrastructure.
Right.
Especially the growing risk to sectors like energy or healthcare. So what has happened, OT systems where our systems are now getting connected to IT networks because of everything getting digitized. And if you see, OT systems are never designed with cybersecurity in mind. They prioritize like uptime or safety, but nobody has focused on the security angle of these systems. So the implications is like security can no longer operate in silos, and if you are connecting OT system to IT, the threats will be easily reaching those OT systems which are more vulnerable because they are classical and they are using the older softwares. And this can create a bigger risk, because if you see one example is that stands out, is the attack on the colonial pipes in the US, which
Right.
caused like a widespread fuel shortage. While it was a wake up call, I'll say the truth is that many critical systems, especially in developing countries as well, still aren't as secure as they should be, I'll say.
Yes, but are we still focusing on it? Like, is this a, it's a part of a discussions? when the leadership?
Yeah, means it is there, of course, but the change has to come from the industries who are focusing on connecting OT to IT,
Right.
and on cybersecurity vendors are like, okay, we are also trying to cover with the products and features for these I mean, these connected things, but at the same time, there's a bigger change expected. I'll say. The awareness level expected to be in these organizations, and especially if you see the power sector or transportation sectors, the awareness levels at different departments is not at all there, and they are using tech like anything. They are using latest technologies, but the awareness levels are not there, that what can go wrong, how much it can impact their operations. So that's a bigger risk out there, I'll say.
Is that globally the same kind of the scenario, or is it more? And if you look at in India, where still awareness level is still less as compared to the global
Yeah, it is. We are here at, as I said, cybersecurity is considered as a compliance tick, and they just focus on making sure that they have the cybersecurity tick on. There's no understanding about the risk that it is involved when cyber threats attacks the critical infrastructure. So it's, I'll say, it's still quite at a very low stage in India as well.
It doesn't look so as a visionary, you have what do you think is a full, not a foolproof, so to say, but what should be the key plan that the companies or the critical infrastructure companies should follow? It's the basic that kind of which helps them to at least the standard checklist or something which is really helps them to kind of control a cybersecurity attack. If not control as at least prevent. So because you, as you mentioned, that there is too less of awareness, but what should be the ideal case actually? I know there's nothing called foolproof today because of ever evolving threat landscape, but still, if you have to.
Yeah, so see, one is, see, there's a lot to be done with respect to investment into cybersecurity, and when you are planning the infrastructure for critical things. But at this stage, whatever they are using, the only thing I'll say is increase the level of cyber awareness among every employee of the organization. So no matter the employee can be at the lowest level or to the topmost level, the cybersecurity awareness things are still the same. The best practices are still the same. Like, I'll say, don't click on any links that you really don't understand where they are coming from, or most attacks, because all the attacks that we are observing, most of the, like 90% of them are starting with the simple innocent link that comes through an email or an attachment or even on WhatsApp, and making sure that you use stronger passwords in all aspects, where if whether it's your modem or your OS login or your phone, you have to have stronger password wherever possible. Use MFA, so multi-factor authentication is now available by default for everywhere, so start using it even on your social media handles, I'll say, and keep everything up to date. If you are using different apps in your domain or in your laptop, on your phone, which are critical for your day-to-day work, make sure you use the latest apps, because security fixes are daily getting updated, and ignoring updates is like leaving your doors unlocked, as good as it's like open to attackers. So if you follow these simple steps, like best strongest password, updating everything on time, don't click anything on like just recklessly, these things are followed, it still makes the attacker's job very difficult.
Yeah, though they look very simple, but definitely they build the inroads for the attackers actually.
That's right, yeah.
What does it really take for India to become a global cybersecurity hub, the way we did it for IT, if I may ask?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting question. I think for India to become a global cybersecurity hub, like we did with IT, it's going to take a focused effort, and on certain areas. First, we need to build a stronger talent pool, not just in numbers, but with deep skills in areas like secure coding or threat intelligence, ethical hacking. So our youth are talented, but we need more hands-on training, which is more real-world exposure kind of training. Second, we need more innovations from Indian cybersecurity startups, products and platforms that can compete globally. And we are more focused only on services side. That is what I am observing. Even in cybersecurity, the amount of revenue that India is earning out right now is all through services, SOC operations or response. Threat response. So we don't we have done it in IT services and we are doing it again in the same fashion. But the focus need to change towards creating or innovating products and tools that will go global, and that needs world class uh, technology to be developed here, I'll say. And the third here needs to be a strong collaboration between government, uh, educational institutes, and the private companies to come together and provide a kind of opportunity to the students and the startups for around R&D and making thread sharing a common platform or creating policies that will help these startups to grow in the cybersecurity space. So we have already made a solid start, but with the scale and digital growth that we are seeing in India, there's a huge potential out there, and we just have to nurture it in the right way, I'll say.
One more question is right now the focus more is on the coming up with the services, just filing, kind of replicating the IT or model is more because from the cost point of view that when you make a product, the investment is way too high as compared to when you set a cybersecurity secure, more of a services company. So that's one of the reason that holds them back, the young founders and the young startups right now.
Yeah, one is like, see, anything, if you are working on a product side, it takes long time to give you revenue. One is the competition is very fierce. MNCs are having products that are high and highly feature rich.
Right.
But at the same time, I'll say threats are evolving in a way where there is a scope for startups to create a disruptive technology. It can be in a particular niche, it can be a particular vertical, just as I talked about OT security or something that can find a problem that is more focused on somebody who has not done there, and the threats are focusing. So right now, if you see security to AI models is missing actually, and solve those things which is not yet solved, and if that can be done, and it will really help. But okay, there needs to be uh, investment ecosystem to help them, because products need time to go to the market. There's a justice time, say I'll say around uh, uh, 6 quarters for that matter, to at least bring an MVP into the market which can solve the real problem, and gradually we'll start seeing revenues. So then there needs to be, for us like at Quick Heal, we really faced those challenges, but we were lucky that we were also doing hardware maintenance in those days, which help us invest into creating that product. So we need to keep developing. The patience need to be there again, one, because it's going to take time. Yeah.
And then there's need a lot of push, not only from the investors, also from the government as well, right? To support this kind of, create this kind of.
That's right.
Yeah.
That
And
is
what do you
quite
think right
needed.
now? We have a MITI, we have DSCI, all are like really working towards helping and, building that kind
Yeah,
of.
so one problem they have solved is they had created a platform where people can approach for incubation, people can approach for finding out what pain point they are going to with respect to threats, and how they can pick the challenge, because it is already listed on the India Hackathon pages. I have seen a lot of departments throwing their challenges that they are going through. But the missing part, what I've seen is the support for startup is not only in terms of money, but it is needed in terms of like customer. The government should become a customer for these products
Right.
actually.
Right.
They need to be first vendor to invest into buying those products, not as an investor, but using those products and giving real feedback so that the product can be improved and made to the level where it can compete with the MNCs. So I have seen we too are struggling for getting into certain government orders. It's like even though Make in India and all is like out there, but it's very difficult to grab orders from government. That's what I've observed, and that really needs to change actually.
Mhm. It's globally, so, like even globally, It's difficult for
No,
them
no,
to
no.
give
I've seen globally there's a picture is quite different. If you see countries like South Korea, because we have been present there, even in US or even in UK, the preference to the local cybersecurity products is higher actually. Even though they have a lesser ecosystem, US has a much bigger ecosystem. But see, country like South Korea is well developed country, but their cybersecurity products ecosystem is quite small, but
Mhm.
still
Yeah.
80% of the government is protected by local products actually. The reason is they promote these products actually. And even same in China, it's very difficult to penetrate Chinese market because they prefer Chinese products actually. They have a compulsory certification which needs to be achieved, and that certification is much easier for regional products
Mhm.
and very difficult to crack for the outsiders actually. And that really helps those companies, because then once we get the market, we can reinvest and improve the
Right.
product. Yeah.
And that can be a great help for the startups actually
Right.
to invent. That's a very interesting perspective, sir. And you have been a part of these conversations at the government level as well, and and the industry level as well. Where do you see we are heading to? Like, have we reached somewhere? Like, are
Yeah, I
we?
mean, see, I've seen a lot of interest by the right departments, and discussions are happening. But I am seeing the action on the actual ground level things is quite low. There, they need to focus, because see, I've seen a lot of policies coming out, making India. They should focus on these things. But if you see critical sectors in India, bigger orders like say power sector and all these, they are still going to MNCs, and there they are not at all following the government policies, and it's what makes difficult for us to convince them. And our products are not like something that is regional with a lesser features. We are competing with MNCs in different countries, and we are getting orders globally, and but still it is difficult. So that's where that change needs to come actually.
How you have started in 90s, and that time must have been really very difficult, I'm sure, because today still we feel that the environment is much more conducive for the startups, and there is a concept
Mm,
of startups. So how
right.
was it, if I have to just take two lines from you, like how was it compared to that time? Because you were competing with the global giants. You told there was a price point and other differentiators that you created, and you forayed
Mm.
into the company cities where the stronghold for the global giants was less. But still, from how easy or difficult was, like, as you mentioned, in terms of like getting the product tested, and like seeking government approvals and all that stuff, you're going to ask you.
Yeah, so back then, you rightly pointed, the ecosystem for startups was not there
Yes. Yeah.
that will support startups. So finding a VC or finding somebody who can invest into was very difficult. So we have to fund our own investment, I mean, so our own research. And that, as I said earlier, luckily we had this business of computer maintenance. We kept on doing that and providing our virus solutions free to all those maintenance customers. That helped us get a good business into computer maintenance, because that was a good business, and that helped us to invest into the product. But we what wisely we did was we focused on creating differentiator instead of just comparing our product with MNC products and creating a similar product. So if we had focused ourselves on creating the similar features which MNC had, we would have end up in a different race, I'll say, always
Mhm.
behind. What we focused was what is still not working for MNCs. So when we were talking to customers, we realized even though they were using MNC products, they were still facing certain challenges.
Right.
And we started focusing only on those challenges, making sure that the basic features of our antivirus are still there,
Right.
but focusing on those challenges which are more regional, which are more because of the difference between the networks here, or the user habits here, or
Right.
the speed of internet was very slow here. So all
Yes.
these challenges were there in Indian market, and we leveraged by creating features that are focused on those, and that helped us as a differentiator. Gradually, what happened, we in like 7 to 8 years, we were leading the market where our features were getting copied by MNCs, and that
Right.
that was something that really made us happy, because we were able to understand the pulse of the market, what is needed, and we were first to create those features actually.
So basically, it was like customizing it. for the,
And
if you say, right? Like,
so I'll say always having an eye, ear towards your customer and listening them properly and creating a solution, updating your solution. And it has to be very fast. You have to come out things like every say 7 to 8 months you have to come out with a newer version that is solving things, so that partners and customers feel that they are being listened to, and the trust on the brand goes high actually. Yeah.
do you think today the founders and the young founders are doing this? Or is it like are they missing these steps, if I may ask?
Yeah, means I'll say most of the focus is towards many of the startups. Many times, what they do is they focus on what features are there in the competition, and they try to cover them actually. And that's where I keep on guiding them. Don't focus there, because if you keep on comparing, you will always remain behind actually. Just focus on what is missing in them in terms of feedback from the customers. You can go and read their forums, their customer care pages out there, or you can follow their LinkedIn or even your I'll say Twitter handles, and see the complaints that are coming, and you can focus on those, and it will help you to create a differentiator actually.
Still, the founders, they think India is a market, or they still, everybody goes towards the eyes towards the West, and especially the Northern American market. So, do you still think that India is a good amount, is a good market for even our own products to be, they can make, they can establish themselves?
So if you are into B2C, I'll say India is still a good market, and you can really create a good product ecosystem and get good revenues out of here. But if your product is or your solutions are focused towards B2B,
Right.
I'll still say the developed nations are much bigger and faster to adapt newer technologies, and there, I mean, when you are in B2B, you should focus globally.
As a company of your, as a company, Securite, now your more focus is more on the Western market, and on Indian. Though India is evolving and we have so many companies coming up, but
That's
still, think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So cybersecurity has evolved from a standalone antivirus complex detection, ecosystem. In that shift, how has the role of antivirus changed? Is this still foundational, or has its relevance diminished? If I may ask you.
I'll say it's a very good question, because people have seen a lot of articles and blogs which says that antivirus is dead and all that, but people really don't know. I would like to answer this question in a way that, yeah, that's like antivirus has definitely come a long way. Earlier, it used to be like just a standalone product focusing mainly on viruses, trojans, but sort of reactive shield. But today, it has evolved into a much broader and smarter ecosystem, I'll say. Modern antivirus solutions now use so advanced technologies and things like advanced machine learning and behavior based detections to identify and block not just known threats,
Right.
but also new and evolving ones. So even before they can cause any harm to user, if the threat is not even seen by us, we do detect them. So it's become more proactive than it used to be earlier. It's not just about scanning files anymore. It's about like real time protection, threat hunting capabilities, vulnerability shielding, if protecting the 0 days, and even integration with the bigger platforms like EDR, XDR, and in a zero trust network. This antivirus technologies are at the back end, providing the foundational layer as well along with that. So in my view, antivirus is still foundational, but its role has definitely shifted. It's no longer just a basic filter. It's now the first layer of much more intelligent and adaptive security stack, which is more up to date.
Right.
You can't ignore it, especially
Mhm.
with the kind of sophisticated threats that we are seeing now.
So it can be considered as a first line of defense as well, if I.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Great. So also wanted to know your views with we just you touched upon the DPDP Act, which
Yeah.
is we are awaiting. So what is your view on it? Like once it's announced, how will it firm up the cybersecurity or postures of all the companies, and how will it help them, or will it also end up becoming just a tick mark in the checklist?
Oh, so it all depends on how it is implemented. Law is at least designed quite well. I am like happy. Certain points are already taken into consideration, and more focus towards consumers data protection is there, and that is good. But it is as good as only how as good it is, or as well it is implemented. So implementation, we are yet to see. But if it is implemented well, then I'll see there will be a good enough change among the organizations towards protecting the consumer data, because it has well plan drafted laws along with the penalties out there. So if an organization is really storing user data, and for that matter, we all know that everybody stores data now actually, and it is being shared like anything. We share Aadhaar cards, PAN copy, like Xerox, means copy is like anything, and it is
Right.
stored on the table, or many times we do share even on WhatsApp and
Yes.
email, and they are lying in different computer PCs at different networks, and all this is unorganized, and which is a bigger cause of concern, because once a network gets breached, all these things get stolen, and then
Right.
gradually it end up on the dark web for further misuse actually. So this will take long time, even though it is coming now, the implementation will happen, but I'll see that it will, from my opinion, it will take at least 2 to 3 years to know how to properly implement and how to properly protect the user consumer data. So it will take time.
But it's
The
a great
law
step
is
too.
quite good, but it has to be strictly implemented. Yeah.
So it will be just like a GDPR. Can we say so? Like
Yeah, I'll say smaller version of GDPR. GDPR much wider, much elaborate, but we are moving towards that actually.
it's just the size of the country, like the size of population we have. I'm sure it also becomes a very big impediment when it comes to cyber, security and even for data protection. So how do we kind of handle? Because I think its volumes are way too high as compared to any other nation. So what do you think should be also an approach when we are handling the data in terms of,
So
cybersecurity?
the one is, first we should be having right laws, and we are doing quite good. But the approach by the law enforcement should be much higher, I'll say, with respect to coming to convicting certain things. So as you see, a lot of scams happening, a lot of things happening, and even though in spite of having laws, because there is lesser awareness, because there is means no trainings or no facility of forensic level things at different
Right.
small cities, it is taking time for these cases to getting solved, and
Right.
somebody getting really punished for that. So unless that happens, country like as big as India will take long time. Means if we don't do that, and it's high time now actually, and that's what I've been talking at different forums as well, that it's going to take time.
Right.
People also need to take care with respect to sharing their data, understanding the implications of that. So awareness really is there, but it needs to go up. And as a country with so huge population, there's a lot to do, even not only by citizens but the law enforcement, and that really needs to be like implemented. I'm like looking forward now, as you pointed with the DPDP thing, but unless there are certain cases that sets an example, let somebody
Right.
getting punished because of that data getting misused, then only every other business will become serious. But if there is a law but nobody is getting punished, then it will still remain just a law actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of companies still are like so reluctant in coming ahead and declaring that there is they've experienced a breach, like in the recent
That's
case
right.
that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's law out there, but people
Yes.
and but that's the case in even in developed countries that we have seen.
Correct. Yeah.
People
Yes.
don't share the breach related thing unless somebody does a whistleblowing, and then
Yeah.
somebody sees data on the dark web, and then they claim that this organization is breached. And we can see these cases day in day out regularly. Every week, some new vendors' data is available on dark web,
Right.
and they haven't yet declared. That is there globally, and that really needs to be solved, because they need to think in those lines that yeah, it is a it is maybe a shame on their brand. It can impact their
Correct, the
but
reputation.
at the same time, they also should think that it is going to further badly impact on the consumers whose data is out there actually,
Right, right.
and it needs to be protected because people trust in them by sharing their data, and
Mhm.
that trust goes actually.
Right. Especially with the large firms where we
Yeah,
trust blindly and, kind of
yeah,
give.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
And
so
where
much.
this data is getting used, that data is being used by cyber criminals to train the AI models now. It's like the so large data that is available out there. Everybody's PAN, Aadhaar, or whatever information we are sharing, even through social media, our birth dates, our travel plans, all this is being used, and then it can be very easy to create a social engineering attack that is more convincing, and people getting fooled or scammed because of that actually.
So I think even so, correct me if I'm wrong, even the ethical hacking has to take a, paradigm shift. There's to start thinking like cyber criminals and, what, because I think they are way too ahead of us when it looks to the ethical
Yeah,
hacking,
if
right?
your ethical hacking is dependent on tools that are already available on the internet, then the hackers already know what you are going to use. You
Right.
need to beyond that actually. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So paradigm shift is required there as well. Perfect. So anything else that you think that, the words of, that exactly needs in terms of cybersecurity globally and in India, what should be the final, what words of wisdom you would like to say? Actually, if you
So, only thing, as I said, and we had really discussed this well, is about awareness levels. They are at a very basic things. We are whatever awareness that everybody is doing, even governments or banks, they are focusing only on basic things. It really needs to go to the next level because we should start thinking what cyber criminals are already thinking and do that level of awareness. That's quite important actually. So awareness will solve at least 50% of the problem there actually.
So there's a long way to go, and I think, yeah, and the visionaries like you and the leaders, the torchbearers are like you have, you have to kind of, do this kind of orientation and more, and work along with it. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
it was my pleasure. I'll say I enjoyed this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, sir. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you. And I'm really, thank you so much for agreeing again to come to a session. And it was really very insightful to understand your journey and your insights and, and shape and how it shaped the Indian cybersecurity space and what are the best steps that we can have in future as well. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining us
Thank
today.
you. Yes, thank you.